Let's dive into a really fascinating part of social intelligence. It's a kind of quiet power that most of us just completely overlook. We're going to see how sometimes saying nothing at all is one of the biggest signs of confidence you can show.
Okay, so think about this for a second. Picture the last social gathering you were at. A party, a work meeting, maybe just dinner with some friends. Have you ever actually noticed this happening?
Just picture it. The room's buzzing, right? There's conversation everywhere. People are laughing, talking over each other, everyone's trying to get a word in. It's a pretty standard scene. Now, in that room, try to zero in on the one person who just seems totally secure, completely at ease, the one who seems, well, the most in control. Your first guess is probably the loudest person, the one who's the center of attention, but often,
it turns out it's often the quietest one. And this isn't about being shy or insecure, not at all. This is a deliberate, really powerful kind of social intelligence, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack right now.
So why does that feel so backwards to us? It's because of something we can call the social paradox. It gets right to the heart of that deep-seated, almost primal urge we all have to fill any empty space in a conversation.
I mean, think about it. We're basically taught from day one that a pause in conversation is awkward. It feels like a dead end, like we failed. It can even make us feel a little bit excluded. And what do? We rush in to fix it. We talk more, we overshare, maybe tell a nervous joke, anything to just kill the silence. And right there, that's the paradox. Our gut instinct is to grab control by talking more, but what we're actually doing is giving our control away. When you fill every single gap, you're not leading the conversation, you're actually choking it. You don't leave any room for other people to think, to process, and to give a really meaningful response. This idea just flips the whole thing on its head. Silence isn't a conversation killer, it actually makes it better. When you pause, people don't just tune out, they lean in. They actually start thinking a little more carefully, and the answers they give become way more intentional.
Okay, so if silence makes conversations deeper, why do we still think the loudest person in the room is the most confident? It's time to completely dismantle that myth.
We tend to think confidence is loud, super talkative, always dominating the conversation. But real, deep confidence, it's a lot quieter. It's about being intentional with the words you choose. And this is the big one. It's about being comfortable with the unknown moments, with the pauses.
And when you get comfortable with silence, you start sending out these incredibly powerful signals without even saying a word. You're subconsciously telling everyone that you don't need their constant approval, that you trust that your presence is enough, and that you're not scared of what they might be thinking in that quiet moment.
And the result of all this is pretty amazing. People who don't feel that constant need to fill the air, well, they speak with purpose. They wait until they actually have something important to say. And because of that, because their words are more rare, they have so much more impact.
Now, this might sound a little surprising, but learning to embrace silence can be an absolute game changer for anyone who deals with social anxiety. The whole thing is about shifting your mindset from performing for people to simply being present with them.
I mean, just think about where that anxiety really comes from. It's that internal pressure, right? That little voice in your head going, I have to be funny, I have to be witty, I have to be interesting. You're constantly stressing about saying the perfect thing.
Letting some silence in gives your brain a chance to just breathe. It takes away all that crushing pressure to perform. It gives you a second to actually process what someone just said, to get your emotions in check, and to give a thoughtful response instead of just blurting out some knee-jerk reaction.
So here's the bottom line. People are drawn to authenticity, not some perfectly rehearsed act. The moment you stop trying to perform and just allow yourself to be present, you actually become way more compelling, not less.
All right, so understanding the why is one thing, but how do you actually start using silence in a strategic way? This isn't about being cold or distant, it's about being intentional. So let's open up the toolkit.
Here are 3 moments where you can practice this for maximum impact. First, after someone finishes talking, just wait 1 full second before you reply. That tiny space shows you were actually listening, not just waiting for your turn to talk. Second, before you answer a really important question, take a visible, deliberate breath. It gives your answer more weight and shows you're being thoughtful. And finally, this one is so important, when things get heated, a pause is your best friend. It can stop an argument from escalating and keep you from saying something you'll regret 2 seconds later.
And how long do you need to do this? We're not talking about long, painful, awkward silences here. It's something much smaller but way more powerful. Just 1.
That's it.
A single 1-second pause can totally change the vibe. It makes you look calmer and more in control. It subtly makes you seem more authoritative, and it almost always makes whatever you say next that much better.
So the big takeaway here is that the goal isn't to talk more to prove you're valuable. The goal is to make the words you do choose to say really count.
Always remember this: silence isn't the absence of something, it's the presence of mind. It isn't weakness, it's a quiet, confident form of control. And that leaves us with one final thing to think about. In your own conversations, at your job, in your life, what could you possibly gain, not by adding more words, but by strategically saying less?